Experienced Long Island parole violation lawyer, Jason Bassett, parole violations attorney. While being paroled and released from prison may be a relief, often, your continued freedom is conditional on your behavior. Consequently, there are many restrictions that you must abide by in order to stay out of custody. Violations of your parole may find your parole extended and your restrictions increased, or you can even find yourself right back in prison serving out your original maximum sentence. If you have been accused of violating your parole in Suffolk County, New York, you need the experienced legal advice of a parole violation attorney to represent your rights. You have too much at stake to end up back in jail without giving yourself the chance at the most vigorous defense possible. At the law offices of Jason Bassett, PC, attorney Jason Bassett is an aggressive legal advocate ensuring your rights in the case. Don't leave your freedom to chance. What is parole? The concept of parole began in New York in the 18th century to help reduce prison overcrowding. Today it is used in New York, as it is throughout the country, to allow a convicted offender an earlier conditional release and the ability to begin a new life outside incarceration. What is the difference between parole and probation? While the terms parole and probation are often mistakenly used interchangeably, they are very different things. Probation can be ordered by the court as an alternative to jail time, either as a suspension of a sentence or in lieu of the sentence. An individual who is on probation still remains under the supervision of the court and is subject to stringent rules throughout the term of the probation. Probation violations risk the offender going behind bars. When is parole offered? Eligibility for parole will depend on the original offense, the sentence that was ordered by the court, and the convicted individual's behavior while incarcerated. For those who are eligible, parole allows them the ability to serve out the rest of their sentence outside of prison while under the supervision of a designated parole officer. Applying for parole in New York. About 4 months before the individual's earliest release eligibility date, an offender rehabilitation coordinator or supervising rehabilitation coordinator will schedule an interview with the offender and review the case before it goes before a parole board panel. The individual will be asked to discuss the original offense and answer questions regarding any past criminal activities, their record during custody, and any future plans and goals after release. What information does the parole board consider? When deciding to grant parole to an individual, the parole board will consider many factors, including the institutional record of that individual, the parole officer's report regarding that individual, any program accomplishments, job training, vocational education, or other achievements they have earned while incarcerated, the behavior they have exhibited toward other inmates and staff, performance in any temporary release program, what that individual's release plan is concerning potential employment or job training, education, and community or family support systems. What conditions are imposed by the parole board? The parole board will impose significant conditions on parolees, allowing the correctional system to maintain control and supervision over the individual attempting to reintegrate. Many are general in nature, but others are specifically tailored to the individual and their offenses. These can include the regular reporting to a supervising officer, inability to own or possess firearms or other weapons, defined geographic parameters that they can live in, inability to leave the vicinity without getting the permission of their supervisor, notifying supervising officer of any employment changes, agreeing to any searches of their self, residence, or possessions, compliance with the law at all times. Long Island criminal defense attorney Jason Bassett talks about common parole violations. Parole violations can be cause for revocation of parole. Technical violations can include being in the company of others with criminal records, moving without first discussing it with the supervisor, failing to report to the supervisor, leaving the state without permission, not abiding by a set curfew, consuming alcohol, failing a drug test. What happens when you have been accused of violating parole? When a parole officer has reasonable cause to believe there has been a parole violation, a warrant will be issued, and the parolee will be arrested and held without bail. Parole violation lawyers at the law offices of Jason Bassett explain the consequences of a New York parole violation. The consequences of a parole violation will vary depending on the original offenses and the severity of the violation itself. Violators will be placed in one of three categories depending on these factors, and consequences will be based on what category the violator falls into. Category 1 violators will be ordered an additional 15 months, with a reduction to 12 months depending on mitigating circumstances. The court may consider diversion programs at a Willard Prison Drug Treatment Center. Category 2 violators' parole will be revoked and restored to the Willard Drug Treatment Center. Category 3 violators' penalties will depend on how much time was spent in custody and what the violation was. A violent felony offense violation will result in time in custody plus 6 months. A nonviolent felony offense violation will result in time in custody plus 3 months. Persistent violators with a third violation may receive up to 12 months. Getting the help of an experienced parole violation attorney for accusations of violating parole. Regardless of the reason for the parole or probation violation, you may be looking at being returned to prison for your maximum original sentence. Fortunately, a parolee is allowed an appeal to fight any alleged parole violation in NY. It is never advisable for someone to face this appeal without the legal representation of an experienced parole violation lawyer. At the law offices of Jason Bassett, PC, Long Island criminal defense attorney Jason Bassett and our team of criminal defense and parole violation professionals may be able to help you achieve the best possible outcome for your case. Contact us at 631-259-6060 or fill out our online contact form.